Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, it's the day after, and sure, we're still upset, but you know what? If you are still a die-hard Chiefs fan, let's get the good vibes going again. Like this video, let's stay positive, and let's look at the bright side. This team's still gone to 4 straight AFC Championship games. That speaks a lot for a team that didn't win a Super Bowl for 50 years. So like this video. Let's get the good, juju going again, and let's start focusing on the offseason and see how this team can return to form next year. So hit that thumbs up icon, and we got some rumors and reactions coming up on today's show. You're watching the Kansas City Chiefs Report. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Shout out to the Fetch Rewards app for sponsoring today's show. Earn points from any receipt from any restaurant or store, and then redeem those points for gift cards and other rewards. Get started today, chatsports.com/fetch. It's a really easy product to use. We'll tell you more about it later on in the show. Okay, so one final time, we'll show this scoreboard. Well, I say one final time. You never know. But obviously, it's still a major talking point, right? How the Chiefs managed to blow a 21-3 lead against Cincinnati in that 27-24 overtime loss to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And obviously, it's tough. Obviously, there's a lot of reactions out there, especially around Patrick Mahomes and some other players. But again, we're staying positive, like the video, like I mentioned. But I do want to ask, before we get into today's rumors and other storylines as well, have you gotten over the loss yet? It's been less than a day. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Have you gotten over the Chiefs' loss to the Bengals? Let me know down in the comments. Not going to lie, that was tough. I'm starting to get over it. I'm trying to get positive because this has still been a hell of a stretch for this team, and there's no reason to think why this team can't be back in this position next year. But it's obviously a missed opportunity. You're favored by a touchdown. That's a team you should beat. That's a team they should have beaten yesterday based on how the first half went. And it's a tough pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, sometimes you fail in life. And this team failed yesterday in the second half. It's tough, but you got to move on at some point. So let's get into some overreactions around the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, because, when you blow a lead like this, the bullets start flying, right? And, let's be fair, right? Mahomes really struggled after halftime. Came on this show and said he choked in the second half. I still feel that way in a lot of regard. The loss wasn't completely on him. I think Andy Reid deserves a lot of blame as well. Why he stopped running the football against when the Bengals kept dropping 8 into coverage, I don't know. But, those two guys deserve a lot of blame, and certainly Mahomes does. Here's what I can't get behind, though. I've gotten some DMs. Mahomes is overrated. He's overpaid. Cut him. I don't think people who are saying cut him are serious, but I do think there's this notion out there from some fans, oh, he's overrated. He's overpaid. He should have never gotten $500 million. Guys, we have to remember, we are witnessing one of, if not the greatest, and I think there's a lot of strong evidence to suggest it is the greatest, start to a career for any quarterback in the history of the NFL. Like, that is actually a legitimate thing that is happening with Patrick Mahomes. Like, we are witnessing greatness. So when he does fail in tremendous fashion like he did yesterday, yeah, it's going to cause people to overreact, but that's the key word. It's an overreaction. Look, Mahomes and the Chiefs choked. We know that. We all watched it. The whole world watched it. But if you're going to play this position for this long, this is going to happen eventually. Like, it just is. It sucks that it happened in a game that you should have won in the AFC title game, but that's just the reality. Eventually, you're going to go through this. But he is still on an absolutely legendary trajectory. He has started 4 years, guys, and he's gone to 4 AFC championship games. Like, no quarterback has done what he's done to start his career. Now, sure, Tom Brady had more Super Bowls by this point, but just from statistical perspective as well, like, people forget it really took Brady 5, 6, 7 years to actually be an elite quarterback. He relied on running the run game in New England and that defense. Mahomes has been the engine to all of it since he became the starter in 2018. I mean, the accolades he already has. I mean, he's already put together a Hall of Fame career. 4 AFC title games. He's won 2 of those. The 2 he lost were in overtime, okay? He's won a Super Bowl. He's won a regular season MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. That is a Hall of Fame resume, and he's 26 years old. Like, we have to put things into perspective. I get it. I'm pissed. I was fired up yesterday that they blew that. I was mad at Mahomes, and he was the first to tell you, hey, we're up 21-3 and we lost. That's on me. Like, he owned it. He understands what being a franchise $500 million quarterback means, unlike Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, who were blaming the refs when they lost. Like, the Chiefs blew it, and they know that. We just got to hope and trust that they will get back into this position like they have been the last 4 years. Like, if they don't make it next year, if they miss the playoffs or something, okay, maybe we're having a different conversation. But I am not concerned about Mahomes. I'm not concerned about this team moving forward. We'll ask you guys, are you worried about Patrick Mahomes moving forward? Type 1 for yes, type 0 for no. Again, I'm not worried because I've seen this team be dominant for almost half a decade now, and I would expect that to continue into next season. Now, shout out to Fetch Rewards for sponsoring today's show. Again, this app allows you to earn points on any receipt from any store or restaurant or when you fill up gas. Any receipt that you earn, you can scan it and earn points. Now, I've gotten a couple of DMs like, hey, I got this super long receipt because we had to feed like 20 people, and I couldn't fit it all onto one screen. Well, as you see right here, you can do like a two-part scan where you scan like the top part of the receipt, and then you hit scan, you put it down to the bottom of the receipt, you scan that as well. You get the 3 green check marks that you see right there on the screen of the phone, and it all works the same. So if you have to do a 2 or 3-part scan, no problem. Doesn't matter how long the receipt is. If it takes 10 snaps, it will count as long as it can verify all the information that it needs to. Download the Fetch Rewards app today, chatsports.com/fetch. Get 3,000 bonus points when you sign up as well with promo code Chiefs. Once you scan that first receipt, you'll get those 3,000 bonus points. Start racking them up today. That way you can redeem those points for gift cards from places like Amazon, Starbucks, Target, Walmart, other restaurants as well. It's fantastic. It's free. Instead of throwing that receipt right away or just declining it, just take it. When you sit down in the car before you leave the store or whatever, scan the receipt on your app. It'll take 20 seconds, and you start racking up those points. It's a fantastic deal. Use our link below to get started, chatsports.com/fetch, and don't forget to plug in that promo code Chiefs. That link and promo code will be in the comments and in the description of this video. Let's take a look at the future of 2 players. We'll talk about Tyrann Mathieu first. What does Honey Badger's future look like? I don't know. I really do not know because he is set to enter free agency. I was convinced before last season he was going to get an extension. It never came. Now, Matthews made it clear here on Monday that he wants to be a part of this team's future. He said, quote, I don't have any control over that. And let's be honest, he was pretty up and down this year. It was not his best season, probably his worst season as a Chief. Not that it was a bad season, but compared to the prior 2 years. Here's what Mathieu had to say in an expanded quote. I hope so. In terms of coming back. Ever since I came here, I just try to be the right kind of teammate. I try to play my part. It's always feeling that you could make more plays for your team, but I'm hoping it works out. I don't have any control over that. I feel like everything is within my control. I tried best to handle it and to do it with a smile. I love this team. I love this locker room. There are a lot of coaches I have great relationships with. I am hoping. So even Tyrann Mathieu, based on the tone, if you go back and listen to the quote, or even based on the specific wording, he recognizes that there's a chance he's not back, that there's a chance that the Chiefs can't work him into their contractual plans as they balance the salary cap moving forward. I'm conflicted personally. I know what Tyrann Mathieu brings to the table as a leader, but I also saw him have his worst on-field performance in terms of a season since he's been here. Is he starting to age? I think those are fair questions. Is he set to be 30 this offseason? So I'd like to bring him back maybe on like a 2-year deal. Can you get him for like $10 million a year? He may feel like that's disrespectful, and if that's the case, then he's probably going to be moving on. I would say it's 50-50 at best that he returns, maybe more like 40-60 when you factor in the Chiefs' big contracts that they already have on their books. Subscribe to the channel because we're still trying to grow here. Just because the season is over doesn't mean we're going anywhere. Our off-season coverage is about to take off, so help us continue to grow. Our next milestone, 26,500. We're just about 170 subs away from that. So hit that sub button, share it with this link with a friend, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, and we will continue to plug out videos here on the Chiefs Report. Now, safety becomes a big need if Tyrann Mathieu is not on this team. That is clear, right? I mean, because your only other safety under contract is Juan Thornhill. Dan Sorensen's a free agent. He ain't the answer. I don't think he's going to be back unless he's safety 3 or 4, which I guess, but he really fell off a cliff this year. So it's kind of twofold. You can re-sign Mathieu, but it becomes tough on your salary cap, or you can let him walk, but then you have a gaping need at safety. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the Chiefs look at the draft as a potential positional filling spot at safety. We'll have to see how that plays out. But obviously a leader on this team and still a very good football player. What would you do? You tell me. Should the Chiefs re-sign Tyrann Mathieu? Type R for re-sign him. Type L for let him go. You could talk me into either if I'm being completely honest. Get your votes in right now in the comments. One other player we got to talk about in terms of his future with this team, Frank Clark. What do you do with Frank Clark? He's got 2 years remaining on his contract, but this is kind of the offseason that you could get out of his contract with still some penalty, but you could save some money as well. We'll explore how much money here in just a few moments. But like Honey Badger, he's made it very clear he wants to remain in Kansas City because he loves the team and he loves the city as well. Here's what Clark had to say, quote, "Man, Kansas City is my home. I bought a house here. My daughter goes to school and stuff like that here." You see her in the photo right there. It's home. I want to be here for the future, for the rest of my career. But like you said, unfortunately, the way business goes, things don't happen the way that you want them to happen all the time. And again, like Honey Badger, very contrite, right? Like he's well aware that it's not a given that he returns next season for Frank Clark. I'll say this. I don't think there's any chance that he returns on the current contract he's on. If he's going to come back, he's going to have to, suck in some pride and take a pay cut, restructure his contract in some way, shape, or form because, he's costing over $20 million against the cap this year. For 2022, that number's going to have to come down if he wants to remain in Kansas City. So, the way I see it, there's 2 options. Number 1, restructure Frank Clark's deal. $5 million pay cut, or move some money to the future, whatever it is, his cap hit for 2022 would have to come down. Number 2, you can cut or trade him. I kind of feel like this is the more likely route, especially cutting him. I find it hard for someone to trade for his contract, but maybe there's a team out there, you never know, that could want Frank Clark's services. These are kind of the cap details of what this could look like. If you cut or trade him before June 1st, you save $12.7 million in cap savings, and then you have like $13 million in dead cap hit, which is a big dead cap hit, but almost saving $13 million. I mean, you can sign 3 or 4 players with that amount of money. If you wait to post June 1st cut or trade him, you save almost $20 million. Now, everybody's like, well, why don't you just make him a post June 1st cut? Well, because you don't get that money until after June 1st. And what happens before June 1st? The draft, free agency. Sure, there's still players to be had by then, but it's not as simple as, well, we'll just save $20 million June 1st, and then we can sign all these players, but just not have them have the ink dry until June, because then those guys can't compete in off-season stuff. So it's tricky. We'll see what shakes out. Maybe you make them a post June 1st and you use that money to pay for your incoming draft class. There's certainly options there, but either way, whether it's pre or post June 1st, you can save over $12 million. Where will Clark play in 2022? Type KC if you think it's going to be the Chiefs. Type O if you think it's going to be another team, as well. Even predict the team if you want down in the comments. I'm going to type O for other. I think Frank Clark's likely gone, but we'll see. Maybe they keep him and let Melvin Ingram walk. Who actually knows? Okay, last one, then we're going to sign off. How about firing Steve Spagnuolo? This is certainly back, in the headlines on Chiefs Twitter, Instagram, circulating around the league as well. I mean, what a bizarre year for this defense, right? Because, you look at that second note. Through weeks 1 through 7, this defense was an absolute disaster. During weeks 8 through 16, this defense was great. And then weeks 17 and 18 and into the playoffs, it kind of struggled again. Not to the degree of weeks 1 through 7, but closer to that than the 2 months in the middle of the year when this defense was excellent. Now, I want to make this point clear. The defense did not lose the Bengals game. The offense did. The offense blew it. The defense actually kept them in it. Defense wasn't great, but the defense made plays. That L'Jarius Sneed pick, I thought that was going to be the turning point. Did not work out that way. It's tough to evaluate Spags this year because you look at the raw numbers. I think they're like 26th, 27th in total defense, but that 2-month stretch in the middle of the year, they were tremendous. They were just so bad in the other games, weeks 1 through 7 and 17 through 18, that you add it all up and it wasn't a good year defensively. But we saw more than flashes. We saw a 2-month stretch where this defense was excellent. Like, seriously, this was a top 5 defense for 2 months, but it's a 4-month season. So how do you evaluate that? I don't know. That's up to Andy Reid and, Brett Veach and the rest of the staff. Again, to mention this point as well, the defense was fine against Cincinnati. It wasn't lights out, but You held Joe Burrow to 24 points in regulation. That's a decent number, guys. I mean, if you told me you'd hold Burrow to 24, I'd be like, oh, you're going to win. You're going to score 30 plus, which should have been the case. You had 21 at halftime, should have been 24, 28. We saw what happened at the end of the half, but the offense melted in the second half, which is, obviously something that people are going to be talking about for many years to come. What would you do with Spags? Type F for fire him. Type K for keep him. I'd be okay with either. I'm not on the anti-Spags train as much as some of you guys are, but I certainly understand at times he had his challenges this year. All right, long video today, but appreciate you guys for rocking and rolling with us. We'll continue to have you guys covered with Chiefs videos throughout the entire offseason, so subscribe. It's youtube.com/ChiefsTV. We'll see you guys soon here on the Chiefs Report.